life after death, divorce. How many of you are divorced or has gone through a divorce? And if you're not afraid to say it, how many of you are currently divorced or have gone through a divorce? Some of you may say, well, I'm married and I may be on my way to one. I'm married, but it's been a long time since there's been any type of kindling fire or any type of passion. But how many of you would talk back to me this morning? Jamila said, me. All right. Thank you for your honesty this morning. And thank you for participating. Who else could say, Carrie, I'm divorced or I have experienced divorce? Smart says, I have divorced 5 years. I'm married, but ready to get a divorce. Married, maybe on the way. See, this is real talk this morning. This is why God gave this to me, to help you. I have 4 years ago. Thank you, Leah. Anyone else say, yes, I'm divorced. Thank you, Aber. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm going through a divorce right now. Oh my, this message is so timely. It is so timely. Who else can come on and say, Carrie, yes? And how many of you can say, yes, divorced 4.5 years. Good morning. Orlando, Florida's in the house. Great. Rashida says, I've been divorced. I've been through 2 divorces. So you with me, multiple divorcees. You know what, guys? I want to free you of the embarrassment this morning. I want to free you of feeling like you failed. Now, what some of those that spoke to me, and some of you may have not replied, or you may reply in the replay. But how many of you are saying, Carrie, that's the reason I don't want to get married again? It's because I know how painful the death was. She says, I'm married and strongly considering a divorce. See, this is real talk this morning. And when God spoke this to me, it puzzled me for a moment. I'm like, why, God, why do you want me to speak about life after death, divorce? So you meet this individual, and I'm divorcing right now after 18 years. Oh my goodness, Ms. Styles. Wow, that's a long time. That's 2 decades almost of your life dedicated to one person. So let's get into it. What is marriage? What is the statement, Carrie? Life after death. So you meet this person, and we grow up with the mindset that when you get into a relationship, you want to look for that individual that will become your forever after, and you want to marry them. And so you meet this person, and most times, I got married young. I got married due to my religious upbringing and the rules that they had in place. So when I got married, I didn't really understand the depths of the vow that I was making. And, the Bible lets us know that it's better not to make a vow than to make a vow and break it. A vow is a solemn promise, almost like a verbal contract to lock yourself into a certain situation. So you meet this individual, you fall in love, and you go down the aisle. It's the wedding day, and you're walking down the aisle, and they say, hey, who gave this woman to be married to this man? Your father or your significant, whoever it may be, would say, I do, or the family says, I do. And you take your husband's arm, and you're standing there, and you're smiling. And then you get married, and you make these vows, for better, for worse, for richer, for poor, in sickness and in health, to death do us part. Death do us part. Life after death, divorce. And so you say, until death do us part. Now, in our minds, we're thinking that this death is going to be a physical death. But what about you dying to who you are as a person in a relationship? Many of you, if you've experienced divorce, you can understand exactly what I'm saying. You got married, but you lost yourself. The true identity of who you are died. You experienced death. Guess what death is? Death is something that was once alive, now being dead. And there's a lot of people that have experienced death in a relationship. There's a lot of people that are in a relationship right now watching me that your relationship is dead. And you're only staying in it for the children, or you're staying for the financial convenience, or you're staying in it as roommates. But the reality is, in the words of B.B. King, the thrill is gone. Can you talk to me this morning? And so now you're in this predicament of trying to figure out what to do. Do I proceed with the divorce? If you've gone through the divorce, did you truly divorce? I'll explain that in a second. Because now you're finding yourself still dealing with painful past, painful ideas of what you put yourself through, things that you allowed yourself to go through in the name of love. You lost your self-esteem was crushed by the individual that hurt you. There's a saying that I always use in my couple counseling that says, he who needs a relationship the least is in control the most. And most people who need the relationship the least don't care about you. So guess what? They do whatever they want to do. I hate it when a relationship is not equal. 60-40, 70-30, 80-20, 90-10. You know what I'm saying? And when you get into a relationship where the love is not equal, one gives, the other receives. And it's not being reciprocated back. So what happens is you start dying inside. I wish somebody would talk to me this morning because I know what I'm talking about. I've been there multiple times. I hate that I was always that big-hearted person that gave. Was I perfect? No. But did I love the hell out of who I was married to? I sure did. Gave all I had. But what I had to understand is you can't give somebody more than you give yourself. I wish somebody would say amen. Avery said, that's so true. It's taken such a long time to relocate my identity after divorce. Yes. So why is this message titled Life After Death? It's because I'm here today to help you live, to rekindle the flames of life that has died due to the death of your divorce. So let's talk about it. What exactly does it mean to get a divorce? All right, let's look at the legal term. So the word divorce is a legal dissolution of a marriage by a court. Okay, so what does that mean? That means you go down to the courthouse, you stand before the judge, and you say we have irreconcilable differences, and that for that reason, or whatever it may be, we're divorcing. And the judge breaks up all that you've gone through, whether you have things in place or family, or your children is decided, material things are decided, financial retributions is decided, child support, alimony, all these things are decided by the court, the legal man court. And then the judge says, okay, he hits the gavel, boop, you're now divorced. Here's my decree to you of what shall take place. And it's now signed by the judge. It's now looked upon in the eyes of the court and the police officers as, or the government as legal now that you're no longer a union. How many of you remember that day when you had to go to the divorce court and stand before the judge? And you had to stand there and, you're looking at your ex who you was once in love with, but now you're separating. Come on. And I'm going to get there. I'm getting ready to bless you with something. So, watch this now. The problem is, why can't I go forward in my life? That's right, Angela. You pay 5 minutes, pay all that money to be 5 minutes in a judge and stamp it at the bottom. Boom. But now you're divorced. Okay? You're divorced. But you are not spiritually divorced. Oh, wait a minute, Kim. What do you mean? Because here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. If you're in a committed relationship that you took the vow, there's 2 steps that you took in this relationship when you got married. You took spiritual vows and you filled out legal documentation to be legally married and recognized by the state that you were governed under. 2-step process. You took a vow in the presence of God and his people, and you had a legal documentation by the state that you're in. But when we got divorced, and somebody got to catch this, you only did one of the steps, which was you went down and got a dissolution. You got it legally broken up. You got a divorce. So you undone the second step. Okay, let's say the first step in Georgia, and probably everywhere else is to get the legal license, and then you do the union. So you went and did the first step. You dissolved the first step with a divorce. Wow. I want you guys to catch this now. This is going to bless you. So what happens, Carrie, if I never do the second step? If I never spiritually dissolve it? If you'll be honest, because when I began to do my work, when God began to reveal to me that, Carrie, your problem was spiritual polygamy. Time out, God. Spiritual polygamy? What in the world, God? What do you mean by spiritual polygamy? Well, see, polygamy means to have more than one spouse. if you never dissolve the first marriage spiritually, and you meet someone else and you marry again, never dissolving the first one spiritually, you're now committing spiritual polygamy. What do you mean, Carrie? Did you renounce the marriage? I'll wait. See, this is why the Abundant Life Nation is so powerful, because you're not going to hear teaching like this everywhere. People will say, well, you're bound to that first person. You're bound if you never do a spiritual dissolution. What do I mean, Carrie? I mean that if you never renounce the marriage, you're going to marry someone else still spiritually connected to your ex. Come on, somebody. You got to get this. When you make a vow in the presence of God, and you're standing there, and you're saying, I take you as my lovely wedded husband, and to have, to hold, to cherish, to honor. You're making a vow in the presence of God and his people. But now you go through life, and now you go through a divorce, but you never renounce it. Watch this here. What does the preacher do at the very end of the service? He says, I now pronounce to you, Mr. and Mrs. whoever. He made a pronouncement of the union. But there's never a renouncing of the union when it breaks up. What does that mean? A renouncing of the union means I have to go and undo spiritually what I did when I said I do. Is anybody get this today? Oh, my, this is some great stuff. And so what happens if there's never a legal dissolution? And so what happens if there's a legal dissolution but never a spiritual dissolution? You become now committing spiritual polygamy if you join to someone else. And I've done that because I didn't have the teaching and the understanding and the knowledge that God has given me. So I went from one relationship trying to let someone else heal me, but I never dissolved it spiritually, only legally. So then I married someone else, still connected spiritually, because I never dissolved it or renounced it. So now I'm over here married to two people in the spirit. And if I don't do it again, 3, 4, 20, what it may be. What are you saying, Carrie? You have to do a 2-step process when dissolving a marriage spiritually. This doesn't work for boyfriend and girlfriend, or no, this is not working for those that are shacking. No, this works for those who are taking a legal vow and a spiritual vow. How many of you are sitting back right now shaking your head saying, wow, Carrie, I have never, ever heard anything like this. And I've been wondering how my ex has had access to my soul. I've been wondering how my ex can still get under my skin. I've been wondering why they can say I'm thinking about you, but I feel them. And then they feel me. It's because you never broke the soul tie that connected the two of you, not just from sex, but from a vow. That's why it says it's better not to make a vow than to make it and break it, because you can break it, but you never dissolved it. See, breaking a vow means you stop honoring what you said you would do. But if you never renounce it, it is still going in the background like a program software, and you're still being connected to that person. It's that person. She says, wow, this is so right on time for me. Yes, it is. And this message is not popular, but I'm trying to show you how to get life after death. Divorce is a death. It's a death of a union that came together with a great idea of being one. But what happens over time is you grow apart. Why do you grow apart? Because most people, I want y'all to hear me now, most people, when they get married, don't know themselves. Okay, Carrie, what are you saying? So I had good intentions when I made my vow, but I didn't know who I was, so my vow really wasn't sincere. So you can't make a vow if you're not sincere or knowing who you are, because you're making a vow on a promise to be what you already know you can't be, because you don't even know who you are. Anybody can testify and say, Kerry, when I walked down the aisle, I had good intentions, but I really didn't know who I was. Who I was the day I took my vows is who I am. I'm not that person today. Who I am today is the product of all I've gone through and my work that I've done to build my self-esteem, to come into the knowledge of who I am so that now I can stand and say, my name is Kerry A. Pope, and this is who I am. Like it or leave it, baby, this is me. Come on, somebody. But when most times we take that vow, we took it young. Now, let me say something to you. I want you guys to hear this. It's going to bless you. And then I'm going to get back into the spiritual polygamy, and I'm going to teach you how to renounce relationships. You know, I remember when I was young, and I had to get married, right? Because the church told me you can't date. We don't date. If if this is God's will, which we say it is, then you don't have to go through the dating process. You just go in it and trust God. The dumbest advice ever given to me, period. All right, period. So fast forward now. I'm not mad. You know, you can only do what you can only do what you can do for what you know. All right, but as you know better, do better. So fast forward. God dealt with me a few weeks back. I was doing a couple session, and as I was preparing for it, God brought back this scripture. And I want you guys to listen to this. It's going to bless you. For this cause shall a man leave his father and his mother and cleave to his wife. Now, when God broke that down to me, he showed me 3 steps. There's 3 processes in this step. And it's in my book coming up. Just so you guys will know, and I'm excited. I have 4-part book that I'm writing. I'm writing one on dating. And from dating, it leads to premarital. And for premarital, it leads to marriage. But then I have a 4th book on divorce. And all 4 of them coincide with each other. So just know that's coming on top of some other things that God has been giving. But there's a 4-part book that I'm writing right now, 4 stages: dating, premarital, marriage, and divorce. Okay. But in the marriage, for this cause shall a man leave his father and his mother and cleave. Cleave means stick to, whole heart, fast, just one. There's 3 parts to this thing. And what God showed me, and it's going to bless you, if you never, through life, there are stages that we must go through to become who we are supposed to become. There's no way around it. As a child, there's certain stages of childhood we should experience. The psychologist speaking as well. As a teenager, there's certain areas of teenage child that we should experience as a teenager. Young adult and adult. Elderly. There are stages we're supposed to experience so that when we come mature, or when that stage matures, we're now ready to go to the next stage of life. What's the problem is when you never experience it, but you go to the next stage, you now experience your childhood in your teenage years. You now experience your teenage years in your adult life. You find these elderly people trying to be young adults because they did not experience certain stages in their life. My, Jesus. I love that smart. That's right. So watch this here. So that's why you see these children that are prodigies, actors, and all these people like Michael Jackson or other actors that have this stardom as a childhood, but they have jacked up lives as adults. It's because as a child, they were having to do adult things. Oh, my. Where you been, Aaron? My hair been braided for a long time. It is the one thing that's been unique about me my whole life, my hair. So listen, when you see children, so take Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson is an adult, but he's got Neverland, what was it called? He's acting like a child as an adult because there's certain stages you have to experience in life. So for this cause shall a man leave. The first thing is he must grow up. That's the first stage. He must grow up in his mom's and father's house. So for this cause shall a man leave. So he's going to the second stage of life, leaving. Now, ladies and gentlemen, catch this because I'm getting ready to go back to this part of our life after death. When you leave your parents' home, some have left going to college, some have left going, wherever they have done. But for me, I left my mother's house and I went straight into a marriage. So I never left. Leaving means to discover who you are on this road of life towards a wife or towards a husband. For this cause shall a man leave or take the path of life that leads him to his significant other. My God. But watch this. What happens if you never go through that stage is you jump right into a relationship, not going through the road of life that takes you through twists and turns and lets you know what you like, what you dislike, learning who you are and who you're not. So when you do get to the third step, which is cleaving, now you're marrying someone that you know, watch this now, you're saying, I want to spend the rest of my life with this one person. Out of the billions of people in this world, I'm choosing to say no to everybody and yes to one person. That is a huge investment in a person. They're to be your everything, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your lover, your best friend, your sex partner, your business partner, possibly to help you see things. They're supposed to be everything for you. You're making an investment in someone, but if you don't know who you are and making an investment, now you get in this vow relationship with somebody. And as you begin to come into the identity of who you are, you realize we have nothing in common. Can somebody talk to the man of God and say, Carrie, that was the awakening that I had when I got into somebody and I began to become knowledgeable of who I am. I realized that we are unequally yoked because as I become knowledgeable of who I am, I began to realize that you're not even close to what I want. It looked good on paper. But the reality in the spirit is as I grew, as I began to understand who I am, I began to understand that you're not willing to do the work to figure out who you are. See, y'all not hearing me. That is why relationships grow apart because, like I said, with each stage of life should come a maturity. But if you're maturing into the next level and your partner is still here playing games in childhood because he didn't take the road of leaving, now you're going to find yourself like this. You're up here, he's down here, and there is no connection. You know why airlines have airplanes that fly on certain levels? They're called air traffic controllers, so they control the airspace. When you rise above your partner, or you're no longer rising together, but you're separating, you're flying on different levels. And what you're going to find happening is the relationship is going to start dying because you have nothing in common. I wish somebody had talked to me today. See, many relationships are staying together simply because they're trying to be obedient to the Bible. And they're saying, I don't want a divorce, but you're in a relationship dying. And God never put you in a relationship to die. He put you in one to grow. Come on, somebody. And if you're in a relationship and you're not growing and you're dying, that is not God's will. You should grow together. If I'm going to therapy, you need to be going to therapy. If I'm doing the work, you need to be doing the work. Because if you don't do the work that I'm doing, we are going to separate. And eventually we're going to have nothing in common and our relationship is going to die. Can somebody say, preach, black man? You are going to find yourself dying in the relationship because nobody is growing together. You're growing apart. When the word of God said, they said about what God has joined together, let no man put asunder. You can't put it asunder if you're growing together. But if you're growing apart, the asunder has happened. The dissolution of the marriage is coming. But if you don't do it spiritually, you're going to always be united with that person you made the vow to. So let's get back into spiritual polygamy. Spiritual polygamy is where you never dissolve the first marriage or the marriage vows before taking new ones. So here you are. Somebody said, teach the facts, the Apostle Pope. I think I will, Dr. Thompson. I will. Thank you so much for that. So here we go. I'm standing before the person now. I got me a new wife. I got me a new husband. What is he? The total opposite, or she is the total opposite of what I had the first time. But watch this. If you never dissolve the first one spiritually, you just take it on an extra. Is anybody getting this today? So you don't have to accept it. You can say, okay, I don't agree. That's fine. You don't have to agree. But why does that person that you was married to still have access to your heart, to your soul? Every now and then they say little things like, we could have worked out. we still should have been married. You should have always been the first. See, you got to recognize the little crumbs that are being dropped. But you're up here trying to say, well, you shouldn't have left me for the other woman. You did me wrong, blah, blah, blah. You're making all these excuses, but the bottom line is you're still connected spiritually. So, Carrie, if I pronounced the marriage, how do I then renounce it? When I do couple counseling, and when I work individually with people that are in relationships and they can't get to the next level, I say, have you ever renounced your past relationship? Have you renounced the soul tie? That's right, Quincy. Have you renounced the soul tie? They go, renounce? What does that mean? Renounce is defined as formally declaring one's abandonment of, or the claim of the right or the possession of a specific item. So you are formally declaring your abandonment. But guess what? We formally declare our marriage by a wedding through spiritual vows and legal documentation. But we never renounce or abandon our duty or abandon the vow that we made, watch this, spiritually. Carrie, is that sound? The only way you can get out of something is you got to get out by renouncing it. Meaning I now release myself from the spirit of it. Renouncing is formally declaring one's abandonment. So anytime I have done soul work with people, in my sessions, we go through what's called renouncing your past. And I have them make a list of the people that they have been soul tied to. And if it's a marriage, we're going to definitely get into the marriage because that has more binding consequences than someone you were just sleeping with. Because there are legal vows and there are spiritual vows that you've taken that has linked you together. Sleeping with somebody wasn't a spiritual vow. It was just you having sex, which gave you a spiritual soul tie. But a vow has a deeper grip. Okay? So watch this. We then go into what we call renouncing, where I have them to list on paper the persons that they've been with. And if it's a husband or wife, list them first. And we go into the process of clearing our spirit. And we sit down and I say, now repeat after me. I renounce my soul tie and my vow with, list the person. And I release myself of this union, the spiritual union, and I take back my soul. Oh my! Anybody hearing me? See, this is not running around the church and high-fiving somebody. This is you doing some serious soul work. Okay? Soul work. You're not going to fast to do soul work. You sit down and get your mind right and let's talk. What does that mean? I renounce or I formally declare in the open into the spirit realm. Do you hear me? I openly declare to the spirit realm that I am abandoning my commitment, my vow that I made with such and such. Let's say Johnny. I take back my soul. I release him. I release all the expectations I had from him. I release all of the anger I had towards him. I release all the things that he did not do or he made me do. Whatever it may be, you release it because you're going now and you're dissolving the spiritual connection. You've already done the legal connection, but you've never done the spiritual connection. And guess what? Renunciation is the act of rejecting something, especially if it's something that renunciates has previously enjoyed or endorsed. When you renounce something, you're acknowledging that it has served its purpose, that you shouldn't have been a part of it, that it's dead, it's buried, but I'm now taking back my soul. That way, they have no access to your mind, to your spirit, to your heart. Renunciation. I renunciate my, I renounce. I renunciate my, I bring back, I take back. Renunciation, I bring back my soul from Betty. Betty will no longer have access to my mind. She will no longer have access to my heart. She will no longer be able to speak into my mind. She will no longer be able to drop little crumbs of innuendos of how she feels. I block it now. And when you do this, and the people, I've done it myself, the ones that I've worked with have done it, and they said, my God, Carrie, I'm free. I'm free. Because what's happening is when you're ready to do it, just saying the words now is not doing it. See, you're not hearing me. When you're ready to do it, that means your soul is ready to do it, not your mouth. Somebody better say amen. Your mouth is, see, your mouth may be speaking one thing, but see, God looks beyond the mouth. He looks at your heart. Your heart. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaking. Sometimes we're saying things just to sound good, but the reality is we don't mean it. But for those of you that are ready to experience life after death, watch this. The marriage has been dead. The divorce is just the burial. But you bury the marriage legally. You never buried the marriage spiritually. Who am I helping today? Who am I helping with this word that you're saying, Carrie, I have been wondering, what am I doing wrong that I'm missing the connection from my past to my present? It's because you never did the soul work. Listen, the work masterclass that we talk about is doing the soul work. And if you haven't taken it, you can take the E-class. And there's other classes I'm getting ready to bring forth that's coming up in this. I'm trying to decide if I want to do a course in this last part on this subject of soul ties and breaking them and renunciation. I'm renouncing them. I'm trying to decide that's what I want to do, because I've been saying, God, what do you want me to finish this year out? Because a lot of people need to clear their lives out so that when you go into 2022, you have laid aside every weight and sin that so easily throws you off track. Sometimes that weight and sin is your past. See, Jamila said, Carrie, my ex passed away last year, but my soul still feels tied. And it is. Just because somebody dies naturally doesn't mean that it's spiritually broken. I have done sessions, Jamila, with people that sit in the empty chair and speak to the chair as though the person's sitting there and seeing them so they can free themselves and bring their souls back. If you divorce, you're supposed not to remarry if your partner's still alive. No, you're not. No, you're not. And let me say this to you. I know a lot of people like to throw that scripture out, but that was the Jewish customs of that time. That's not today in America. That's not today. And you got to be careful when you use certain scriptures, because you're trying to bring something of a time that is no longer in session. If you marry today and your partner is still alive, guess what? They're alive in the flesh, but they died to you when you spiritually. I'm not that preacher that's going to tell you to stay tied to somebody for something you didn't know you were doing. No, ma'am. No, sir. I'm not that one. I'm going to tell you right now, God said, I came that you may have life and that more abundantly. And you can't have abundant life if you are stuck in the past. Many people have made vows and didn't have a clue what they were saying or what they were doing. And how is God going to hold you to something that he even knew you weren't supposed to be in? He wouldn't be a just God to do that. Oh, my goodness. And so renouncing yourself, renouncing what you were told. See, a lot of the Bible lets us know that the people perish because of the lack of knowledge. And there's a lot of knowledge that I'm giving this morning that people are lacking. And for that reason, they're dying to customs. They're dying to things. They're dying on things that you're supposed to do. You're not even supposed to stay separated, Perry. Not even that. You stay separate from the person you divorced from, yes. But if you choose to remarry, that's your business and God, period. But do the soul work first, so that you can be free, that your soul and heart and mind can totally go to who God now has for you. Come on, somebody. So with that being said, I'm challenging you this morning to do the soul work. I'm saying to you, have you searched your soul? Have you said, Carrie, this message today has spoke so many volumes to me, because as I look at my life, as I look at the things that I'm going through, I can see where I am tied to my past. And I'm tied to my past because I didn't have this type of teaching. I say, well, you're just trying to make an excuse for people to get out of something. No, I'm not. I'm trying to help you live. And the reason why people are not living and they're still experiencing death and not life is because they're tied into customs and traditions that are no longer valid in this day and time. If we're going to take one scripture and hold fast to it, let's take them all. Let's make the ones that were raped marry their rapist. All right? Let's take people downtown and stone them and the entire family. If we're going to hold fast to one thing, let's hold fast to all. You can't just pick and cherry pick what you want to go by. If we're going to do it, let's do the whole thing. Let's tell the women to stay silent and never speak again in church. Y'all got the right one this morning, because that's what got me in trouble and put in hell, is the customs of ignorance. Of time. See, when you read the Bible, you read it for principles and understanding, not to live it word for word, because a lot of it is not written for you to live that way. It's written for you to live the principle. The principle. The principle. And I understand what it means as a person still alive. You never dissolve the marriage spiritually. You are still tied to the first person. The saints tried to pray me through my marriage, but I knew it was dealing with my home. I still moved forward. Good for you, and freed yourself. Good for you. I'm that preacher. I'm that preacher that tells you when you read the Bible, and someone broke down the analogy, the acronym of the Bible, they said basic instructions before leaving earth. Basic instructions before leaving earth. That was hot. Basic instructions or basic principles before leaving earth. If you learn these principles and apply them, God's principles are universal. They go in any area. But if you try to apply the actual act or the actual customs of someone's time, you're going to find yourself stuck like Chuck, as a lot of people have been in marriage because they say, well, the Bible said I can't this. Okay, you need to come talk to Mr. Pope. Let me help you out a little bit there. All right? Spiritual delusion, dissolution. Spiritual dissolution. You need to dissolve it spiritually. And how many of you right now can say, Carrie, I need to do what you just said. I need to dissolve my past marriage spiritually. How many of you can be honest with me and say, Carrie, I never thought about it on the level you brought it today that, yeah, I did the legal act, but I never did the spiritual act. I never did the soul work to dissolve my spiritual vow. Talk to me real quick. I'm ready to close this thing out. Who said, Carrie, that is exactly it. I never did the soul work. I'm in an abusive relationship. I'm growing up, but my spouse refuses. I need to free myself. Ryan, the word is what it is. That's what it is. This message today God gave to give to you was not to keep you in bondage, but to show you that you have to do the soul work. Abram said, I never done the soul work. See, this is real talk. When God gave it to me, I was like, God, wow, I never did the soul work. See, look at Jamila said, how many you can be honest and Carrie, I did the legal work, but I never did the soul work. I need to resolve and free myself now. That's right, Diva. Ryan said, amen. When you really, the hardest transformation ever, but absolutely worth it. Time to go to work. You got that right. It is, but it's the best thing you can ever do. Keisha, if you still feel the pain, that means that you still got some work to do. Whom the Son has set free is free indeed. When God sets you free, you're free and there's no residue. I thought I did the soul work. I never think about him. You got to do the soul work, guys. If you haven't done the soul work, I advise you. I tell you, listen, you want to do it because your future, your destiny is in limbo because you have yet to do the soul work. And how many of you can say, Carrie, I'm tired. I've been waiting on God to move it, but I didn't understand what was missing. This is what was missing. The soul work. The soul work. You got to renounce from a spiritual place the soul tie, the connection, and the vow. Soul work is painful, but it is worth it. Yes, it is. It is painful because it is going deep into the crevices of all the things. All right? Some of us got married because we were running from our past. We were running from things that happened to us. So soul work takes you even back to that so that you can finally deal with that caused you to get in something that was not God's will for you. Okay? So I want to pray. Then I want to raise an offering and we'll let you go because this message is powerful today. It is super powerful. Let's join in prayer together. Father God, as I pray now for the Abundant Life Nation and those who can truly relate to this message, first of all, God, we say thank you for knowledge. Thank you for insight. Thank you for oversight. Thank you, God, this morning for speaking on the area of spiritual dissolution, that we need to dissolve the vows that we've made spiritually. We've done them legally through a divorce, but we never did the soul work to dissolve it spiritually. For that reason, there's still open passage to our hearts, to our minds, to our souls by our ex. But today, I'm knowing what I need to do, and that's the work. I got to do some soul work. So God, this morning, as I pray over your people, continue to show us the path to abundant life. Help us, God, to be able to go to the next level of our destiny, but we can't go until we do this work. And I glorify you today, God, for the message for your people. And this I pray in your son Jesus' name. And the Abundant Life Nation said, amen. While I was praying, I heard God say, Carrie, you must create a course titled The Soul Work. The Soul Work. And how many of you will be interested in doing the Soul Work course? The Soul Work. We have the Work Masterclass, which deals with some other things, but God said this is the Soul Work. This is doing renunciation of your past, going in and renouncing your past. Thank you, God. The Soul Work. I hear him say, Carrie, you have to create this course, the Soul Work. So many are perishing and dying because their souls still stuck in the past. And marriage can be a beautiful thing if you do the work, if you do the soul work. All right. I like that. It says me. And I really hear it in my spirit, create this course. And so I got to go to work. I got to get to work. I've got to get this course created so that somewhere in October, early November, I can launch it, because I hear it. You got to create it. It's the soul work, because many of you right now are sitting on the brink of going into your destiny, but this is what's blocking you. And I heard some of you say right now, Carrie, I've been asking God to show me what's blocking me from going into my destiny. And this is it, the soul work. The soul work. You got to do the soul work. You got to do the work. Please, I've completed the works class, ready for the soul work class. All right, Miss Diva. All right. So when I was praying, God said the soul work. Many of you have done the outer work, have done the work on the path, but the soul work. Wow. Wow. The soul work. And I'm grateful for what God is going to speak. I'm booking another session with you. It's been a while. All right, Keisha, I'm looking forward to it. And also, if you go to the body, you'll also be able to see in that personal link where you can work with me one-on-one. But the soul work. Yes, the class would be amazing. Thank you, Dr. Tompkins. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do it, God, because I felt it. He said the soul. And when God gave this message, he said there's so many people that are in a marriage that is dead. They're in a relationship that's dead. They know it's dead, but they're just going through the motion, waiting on the kids to get old enough to go to college so we can dissolve this thing. You're not doing the kids any favors. I'm just being honest with you. Because they can see that you're not happy. They can see that you and the daddy or the mama are just there playing house. And what sign are you still teaching your kids that it's okay to fake it till you make it? That it's okay that you do this till they get grown, and then they wouldn't see. You got to understand something. Children are watching us. So do the work. If you want the marriage to work, do the work. Do the work. Don't stay for the kids. I teach that. Don't stay for kids, because those children are going to grow up saying, I had my mama and daddy, but they really weren't together. They were just there. This is real talk, guys. This is real talk. And a lot of preachers are not going to teach you this because, first of all, they don't want to rock the boat. This ain't rocking the boat. If anything, it's bringing stability to the boat that's already rocking. And that's why it's called Abundant Life Nation. We are a nation of believers that have come together to experience abundant life. You can't have life and it more abundantly unless you address the issues that are robbing you of your abundant life. And so, with that being said, the Soul Work Masterclass is coming. The Soul Work class is coming. I'm going to get busy on it. I'm going to do what I have to do, because what I'm hearing in my spirit is the people need this, and they need it now. How many of you are ready to renounce your past and to do the work to where you can let it go? I am so confused right now because my ex really is trying to get me, but I'm scared of making another mistake. Rashida, that's why you got to do the work. That's why you got to do the work, so that you know without a doubt what you need to do. And if you're scared, then you don't do anything until you get clarity, period. You have to get clarity. And if many of you, one of the signs that God gives us, I'm going to say this when we raise our offering, is that when you get ready to go into the next step of your life and you're afraid, that's good, because it means you're not jumping out there in your flesh. But also, you got to make sure that you're not afraid of, because you know that this is not time for you to go. Sometimes it's a sign from God saying, that's not my will for you right now, so don't move. Okay? And I want to make sure that you understand that. You don't want to make mistakes. You want to make sure you're in the will of God. All right? So listen, I'm going to put up on the screen the link. Let's raise an offer right now. You can go to the $, The Way Life Center through Cash App and sow a seed this morning. Or you can go to the PayPal link that is up on the screen and sow seeds this morning. I want you to sow seeds this morning because I really feel in my spirit that many people are perishing because of the lack of knowledge, but knowledge can be gained if you do the work. All right, so you have on the screen right now the link. I'm going to put something else up for you, but there's a link for you right now where you can go and sow seeds. Many of you have been sowing seeds and supporting our movement here, and I'm grateful for that. Thank you so much for what you're doing. And it is, listen, people are being blessed by what we are doing, okay? Are being blessed by what we are doing. All right, so I'm going to put the link up right now for those of you that want to do the work. Now, let me say this to you. If you decide to do the Soul Work Masterclass, when that class comes up, there is also, guess what? A discount to work with me personally. That's a great thing. All right, so I want you to remember that. So let me put up the link where you go, if you want to go and set an appointment to talk with me, there's a link where you can go to work with me personally. And when we launch the Soul Masterclass, I want to make sure you jump in. Limited place, no, like we do any class, we limited spots, limited, because we like to keep the classes to where there's a nice size so we can work personally, work with you, work. You're going to work with me, and this class is going to free you. It is. I'm going to seek God as to how many weeks He wants to do it, but I hear in my spirit, He says this class has to happen. There has to be soul work that's done. You can do the natural work, but you got to do the soul work. Okay? And when you do that, it will bless you. All right? How many enjoy that? So, Carrie, I can't wait. I'm looking forward to doing the soul work. I've done other work, but I need to do the soul work. I need to do some work in my soul. I need to do the work in my soul. Who can say, yes, Carrie, you're talking to me. I need to do the work in my soul. Come on. My God, my God. So I'm going to put this last link up again. You may say, Carrie, I didn't see it earlier, but I'm going to put it up again. When you want to sow seeds today, you can visit this link. And as I always like to say, anything you sow is a blessing to the body. So what to do? Somebody say, you're talking to me. Oh, bless God. So guys, listen, I am grateful for you. I'm thankful for you. Great things that we're doing here at Abundant Life Nation. Don't forget to go to my new YouTube channel. Somebody said, well, Carrie, I need the link for it. Let me see if I can get the link for you real quick. Let me see if I can do it real quick. Hold on. Because I want you to be a part of it. I want you to go and subscribe, because you don't want to miss this kind of teaching on Sunday mornings or throughout the week, do you? I know you don't want to miss it. I don't want you to miss it. So Carrie, how do I get to your new channel? Well, I'm so glad you asked. Give me a second. I'm going to put it up here for you. I think I can anyway. Here we go. And I want you to definitely make sure you visit my new link. It will bless you tremendously. Here we go. Let me see if I can share it right here. Copy. Perfect. All right, so those of you that want the link, I'm going to put it up right now for you where you can go and you can you can become part of the ministry here. You say, Carrie, I want to be a part of it. I want to do it. All right, so if you want to do it, here you go. Here's the link where you can go. And if you subscribe, again, I want that video from you guys. I want you to send me a video. There's the link where you can go to my personal YouTube channel that we're starting, and you can subscribe there. All right, blessings and abundance to you again, guys. I bless God for all of you. Write me sometimes and let me know how the message has blessed you. You can write me at hello@carrieapope.com. I'll put it on the screen for you. My last thing to put up before we get out of here. hello@carrieapope.com. Email me. Let me know how it has blessed you. Thank you so much, Miss Diva. Thank you very much. Email me, guys. Let me know how it's blessing you. And then do me a favor. Take the copy of this link, hit the share button, and send this link to someone that you know needs to hear this message. Life after death. There is life after death. I'm living it. I'm loving it. And I'm making sure to stay alive by doing my work, my soul work. And I want you to get ready for it as well, all right? So God bless you. Blessings and abundance. Until next week, take care, guys.